As I was reading the Bible this morning, I was meditating on Revelation 12:11, and I ended up in Genesis. As I was meditating on Revelation 12:11, I ended up in Genesis. So it's funny how I started from the end of the book and I ended up in the beginning of the book. But in between, I was in Ezekiel and Isaiah. To sum it all up, it had to do with warfare. When Adam and Eve ate from the forbidden fruit, where the Lord had warned that if you eat from that tree of knowledge, that you would die. A lot of people have taken this and said, well, whatever. The fact is, it was spiritual death. Because Adam lived till he was 930 years old. So he lived a very long life. And what that tells me is that Adam and Eve experienced two deaths. They experienced spiritual death and physical death. The spiritual death was separating themselves from God with the act of the sin, eating the fruit, disobedience. And when they committed the sin and God was coming to spend time with them, because every day he would come in the cool of the night or the cool of the day, something like that, right? He would spend time with them. They would fellowship and there was a relationship. But on this day, they hid when he was looking for them, and they covered themselves. They weren't even covered anymore from God, because we are all covered, right? When you're a child of God, you're covered by God. Like a child is covered by their parents, it's covered by their father, covered by their mother. God had a relationship with Adam and Eve. He covered them. And this is me. And now they took something from the world, something tangible, to cover themselves, because they weren't naked before. They were nude, okay, but they weren't like naked. Now, and I think there's a verse where God says, like, what have you done? Or where are you? Something like that. God knew. When he was asking, he wasn't asking where he was, like Adam, physically. Where are you? Behind that tree or behind that bush? No, he meant, where are you? Here. The act of sin separated them from God. Now they weren't covered. I was like, what? Now man without Christ is dead, is spiritually dead. And he came to bring life to us. He came to bring light into the darkness. So what he did was that because there's a war, he came to let you know we have the victory. God came to raise us from the dead. And this likens to when we are baptized. I can tell you from my experience, when I was baptized in water, I know that I was dead and now I'm alive, because I remember who I was, but I don't remember who I was. It feels like that was another person. But I can tell you that when I was water baptized, and I was water baptized twice, don't ask me why, I felt a huge difference. Like, I've heard even testimonies of people who have supernatural experiences. It's literally when you're dunked into the water, when you come out, you're resurrected. We are resurrected. Jesus came to resurrect us from the dead. As a born again Christian, when we give our life to Jesus, we're born again. And then when we're baptized, we're resurrected from the dead. It's like we are alive for real after we have given ourselves 1,000% to Jesus. When we recognize and we know now our identity in Christ. When Jesus resurrected Lazarus, he resurrected that son of that lady, he resurrected that 12-year-old girl, what is the first thing he said? He said, feed them, give them food. And I believe that he meant not only to feed them for their physical body, but also feed them for their spiritual being. We have to feed our spirit with the word, and we have to feed ourselves with fellowshipping with like-minded individuals, because we are resurrected spiritual beings.